Howdy guys, I'm back to do another video. This time I thought that I would talk about some of the books that I've read and never finished. There aren't many of them because I'm a real completionist. I like to finish books, as I've said in previous videos. But there are just, I think I've got 4 books. 4, that is it. 4 books that I've never finished. And I thought that knowing the books that I've read and never finished would let you know a bit more about me. When you know the books that I don't like, you can help me out by telling me what other books to avoid, or equally, you'll know my taste a bit better and you can tell me books to read. So let's get cracking. So, book numero uno, the first book in the world that I ever didn't finish reading is Lord of the Rings. Dun dun dun! I don't think I'm alone in this, actually. I wanted to like Lord of the Rings. I like fantasy. I like that, you know, those kinds of books. I was at university, I saw it in the library, grabbed a copy, went home and read it, and I did read a fair chunk of it, but I just found it boring. The reason that I didn't finish reading it was just that it could not hold my interest. It was a long time ago, because like I say, I was at university, but I was laid in the garden reading it, and it just felt like it was just too long-winded for me. I don't think I ever actually read what I would call an exciting part of that book. I felt when I was reading it that it was just describing things in too much detail. It was sort of like the characters were on this journey, which was all very exciting. I couldn't wait to find out what was going to happen. It just felt like every single page was a long, drawn-out explanation of a field that they went through. And I thought to myself, do you know what? There are only so many descriptions of fields that I can read before I give up on a book. And that is why I gave up on Lord of the Rings. I have since contemplated rereading it. It's something I toy around with a lot because I was quite young, probably not as into reading as I am now, and I think maybe I could read this. And there's a big part of me that, you know, I like classics and I like to finish things. And I do keep thinking, should I read it again? But I haven't been convinced so far. I did recently read The Hobbit, which, you know, similar old book, but much, much shorter. And I enjoyed The Hobbit. I wasn't blown away, but I enjoyed it. I'll tell you what, let me know, do you think I should try rereading Lord of the Rings, or would you recommend that I stay well away from it? I will do what you say. Maybe. So, book number 2 that I never finished reading is The Count of Monte Cristo. The most horrifying part of this was that it was recommended to me, and that makes me very bitter. It was recommended to me by my brother. Now, I can't quite work out whether actually this was some sort of evil ploy of his to make me read a boring book, or whether he actually did think I'd enjoy it. When he recommended it to me, he said that when he was at school, it was the first classic that he'd ever read and enjoyed. And I thought, you know what, I like classics, and my brother doesn't, so if he's read one that he likes, it's got to be good. And I read a massive chunk of The Count of Monte Cristo. I didn't enjoy it right from the start. I thought it was lost in the characters. They seemed to be changing setting a lot. I couldn't quite keep my head where the story was going, or who everyone was. But I kept on going, kept on going, kept on going. I think I was over halfway through when I just thought, you know what? There is more to life than this. There is a website out there called nerdfitness.com, and they send out emails with tips. And one of the things was just about how life is too short. Life is too short to do things you don't want to do things you're not getting pleasure from. And I think it was I got that email and I sacked the book in. I thought, you know what, I am not getting pleasure. The only reason I was reading it was so I could feel that I'd finished it. And that just wasn't reason enough to carry on reading. So then I sacked it in. And I don't regret it. I would never reread it. I just, no thank you, does not appeal to me. So my third book on my unfinished books list is Moby Dick. I don't know how many of you out there have tried to read Moby Dick, but oh, it's a weird one. I really wanted to like it. Like I say, I've read a lot of classics and loved them, so I thought, Moby Dick, perfect, I'll give that a try. But it is just really dull. The thing that kept me hanging on for at least 10% of the book was that actually some bits of it were really good. There's a bit where the main guy, whose name I don't even remember, and it wasn't even that long ago, the main guy goes to an inn or something and meets somebody else, and I found that really interesting. I loved them getting to know each other. And then they went and got on this stupid boat, and then there were just pages and pages and pages where it was just describing whales. After I gave up reading it, I went onto Goodreads to see if other people found the same thing, because sometimes that makes me feel better about giving up. And I read a review where somebody had written an extract from the book where it was just rambling on. I think there was no full stops. It was this long, drawn-out sentence that just blah, 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 blah. And I thought, you know, that is why I stopped reading. It was long, drawn-out, and I felt it could have been a much shorter book. If they took out all the drivel describing whales and wittering on and actually just told the story, it probably would have been pretty good. And I probably would have finished it. But it wasn't, so I didn't. Now, my final book on the books that I never finished is the most surprising one, because I am a massive Stephen King fan. I have read tons of his books, and even those that I'm not absolutely gripped by, I still managed to finish. But a few years ago now, in the olden days, I read The Gunslinger. I think it's called The Gunslinger, the first book. I bought it because I buy all Stephen King books and read them, and I bought it, and my God, was it boring. I've since discovered that anyone that doesn't like it is generally considered not to get it. Well, I'm fine with that. Apparently I don't get it, and that's cool. I remember when I started reading it, the first bit, from what I remember, was about, you know, this guy walking. Is he following someone or is he being followed? I think he's following someone. He sees this guy ahead of him all the time and he's following him. Or he's being followed. I don't remember. He was just walking and it was describing it. Oh, by the way, he's being followed. And that was all there was. They didn't feel like there was any story. I vaguely remember them going to a building or something on the way, but that was it. And they're just similar reasons to the reason I didn't like The Lord of the Rings. And I'm all for a bit of description, but there's only so many chapters you can fill with just describing walking. So anyway, let me know what you think of the books that I haven't finished reading. Are there any that you desperately think I should actually give a second chance to? You could probably convince me. I would love the reassurance of knowing that I wasn't the only one that didn't finish these books because I didn't enjoy them. I can't be the only one. The weird thing is, all of the books are considered to be classics, I think, and books that everyone should read, and I would strongly recommend everyone doesn't read them. So if you've got a convincing argument, leave it below, and if it's convincing enough, I'll give them another go, and then hold you responsible. I'll see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.